Schwinn Axum, that's a name that goes a long way here at Kev Central. I've made some incredible bikes out of Schwinn Axums, like my Project Axum DP, dropper post equipped. It came like that out of the box. And we got other dropper post and new Axum equipped bikes this year. The Axum Comp X, that came with the dropper post. Its smaller brother, well, not smaller by size, but smaller by features, just by a bit, $100 less, the Axum Comp. Well, now there's a third one I'm going to show you, the Axum Sport 29. And if you look at this bike just right away, you'll see very similar frame. Comes in sized frames, just like the other two models. This one, though, green, glossy green, with green graphics that kind of blend in with the grass somewhat. And this Axum Sport 29, it sits below the Axum Comp. So it's the entry-level adult Axum, at least in the 29er range. Axum Sport 29, Axum Comp 29, Axum Comp X 29. So what is it about this bike that makes it entry level, so to speak, or the beginner level Axum? It does have some features we're going to go over that are different, but it also has some of the same. Again, this frame, you can see that internal and external routing, just like the other two bikes. And some stuff that we're going to get to that makes this a little different at its price point. The current price point this is selling at, $348. You'll see what I'm talking about when I get into this. Well, I tell you what, let's just get into it. I like to start up top at the bars. These are 31.8, 740-ish millimeters wide. But there is something unique about these. I don't know if it's just this particular set of bars, and I don't even know how this is going to show up on camera. But normally you've got the 31.8 and then it tapers down. Well, that's the same. But right here, this kind of, I don't know how it shows up on camera, but it's not a perfect round there. It kind of bulges out right here. Can you see that? Kind of a bulge out, a little extra beef before the taper. I kind of like it. I don't know if it's on purpose. I assume it is. But it looks kind of neat. Makes me feel like it's a little stronger. Is this a new design? Because I've seen some performance bars that, yeah, you kind of see it there. A little flatter there than there. Yeah, I kind of like it. 740-ish. 31.8 diameter. And this is different. Look at this. Some Schwinn branding on this slip-on grip. No lock-ons here, but these slip-ons, very paddy as far as rubber slip-ons go. So a little less premium right out of the gate there, but not bad for slip-ons. There is a trigger shifter, dual thumb levers. This is an L2. L2 LT Woo Lieutenant Woo T7S. Kind of hinting that this is going to be a 7-speed, but you're going to notice only one shifter because this is a 1x7 and there's nothing over there because no dropper post comes on this bike, at least from the factory. The brake levers give away that this is a mechanical disc brake equipped bike. I've seen these levers. I believe these are the same ones that was on the Axum Comp, the standard Axum Comp. The Comp X has hydraulic brakes. Here's a look at the stem. I don't have a metric measure tape, so let me get out my standard one and you can do some calculating. There you go, get what you can from that. There's the hang card if you didn't get to read it earlier. Wait, is it different information? Nope, same information on both sides. 5'4" to 5'8". Does come in sized frames. 5'4", I kind of question. I'm 5'10", I could crunch this down to maybe 5'6", I would say. 5'4", pushing it a bit, at least on this medium frame. It wouldn't be a new Axum if it didn't have a tapered head tube, and this does. It comes with a straight steerer fork, though. And this one, well, that's kind of what we used to see on the budget forks. At least not bottom, because the support arch does look double thick. But no preload adjusters. The black, well, slightly better seals than the bottom end. I'm assuming that this is going to be about 80 millimeters of travel. I haven't measured it, but I don't expect much from these forks. This would be a bike to buy for very light trail duty, very green trails, and then upgrade the fork before you hit anything better or harder. That's kind of what this is made for, at least in my opinion. made to upgrade. It does come with a quick release wheel on the front. There's a look at the front hub. Well, let me get this out of your way. There you go. Another look there. Just in case you like reading cards, I will be picking that up. Schrader valve, and as far as I can tell, the exact same rims that are on the other Axums, the Axum Comp, Axum Comp X. Tires, well, there's the tread. Size 29 by 2.40. Can't find any branding other than that, and that they are nylon. And that's 29 by 2.40 front and rear. And a look at the frame spacing on these tires. People want to see that. There you go. A good look at the top and the bottom. So 29 by 2.40 front and rear. Since we're back here, let's start at the drivetrain. Actually, I'm going to tease to go up here with the drivetrain and start at what we know, what we've seen on practically every other bike recently. The usual 170 millimeter alloy crank arms, the Schwinn branded polymer pedals that you'll want to replace, the single chainring up front going to the back. A little bit of what we used to see, meaning Pro Rush, but not Pro Rush where it would be a problem. This is actually not a problem. This is pretty good for the price. This derailleur, an L2 7-speed, the T7S, and this derailleur packs a nice little feature here. That is a clutch. If you don't know what a clutch does, you can turn the clutch on and it keeps some active tension on your derailleur so that your chain doesn't drop, beat this to pieces, and drop off your front chain ring or jump between gears as you're riding. And these L2s, you know, they've actually come a long way. They are the new benchmark for budget performance in competition with Microshift. Now, I'm a big Microshift fan, but I tell you, on a bike this price, to get a clutched L2, I'm fine with it. Now, this is a little bit of a drawback. Two things. Number one, you can see that this wheel is a bolt-on, this rear wheel, no quick release back here, hinting to some of the budget or what I call price point items. This has been price pointed with a bolt-on rear wheel. It also has a free wheel at the back. Now, it's not a standard free wheel. It is a Pro Rush, and it does get a bigger range here, 14 to 38 tooth. And that's usable. Let's go back to these brakes. Mechanical disc brakes, we already know they are generic mechanical disc brakes. I don't see any branding, but I do see the familiar Schwinn rotors, rotor size 160 millimeter up front, and surprise, or no surprise really, 160 millimeter at the rear as well. And yeah, another look at that. These look okay. So far, I've only ridden up the trail. They're stopping the bike just fine up to this point. We'll see how they do as I ride it down the trail. This frame, you know, Schwinn's really been doing a good job with their frames. I like the tapered head tubes. I like this frame design with this slight curve on the top tube, just like the other new Axums. Good welding. This glossy color is absolutely beautiful. Metallic-y in the sun. Let me see right here. You can kind of see it. See the metallic there? Beautiful with the greeny yellow or yellowy green trim, that and black, yellowy green black on this green metallic. It's a good look. Internal cable routing, partially. We've talked about this on the other Axums. And if you don't know what I'm talking about with those, check the description. I'll put links to the other videos, but this one has what I've been asking for. Internal cable routing where you need it, and upgradability ease where you don't. I can upgrade to hydraulic brakes on this with easy routing all the way to the back. Very nice. Of course, there is another internal routing that this does come with. It is an Axum after all. Internal cable routing for a dropper post if you want to add your own. You can see the way that top tube slightly curves and slightly tapers in. Of course, the shark fin for reinforcement, the bottle cage mount. Another look at the welding, sized frames. This is the medium. I measured this one at about 16.5 inches. Another look, just because this is such a beautiful finish, that metallic green and those graphics. The rear triangle, they're mostly all round-ish. Kind of that sweep out, a traditional look back here for sure. Very modern. And modern bikes, I've talked about this in another video. At first, I was questioning the choice here. I knew they had listened to us, but I didn't know if it was going to hurt them or not. But I'm now finding out that the half external cable routing, it's a new trend. So Schwinn on the game. Seat post clamp, quick release. The seat post itself, well, kind of the budget mount. And this saddle, it looks good. I'll give it that. And that's all I'll give it, is that it looks good. Just riding it up the hill, not the most comfortable, but you know, just have to have something to sit on out of the box. Seat post size, 31.6 is the diameter. That's the component rundown. Now it's time to spend a little time going down the trail and seeing how this rides versus the other Axums. It's $200 cheaper than the Axum Comp X. I don't expect Axum Comp X performance. I know kind of what this fork is going to do, very familiar with this design, but you never really know till you get on a bike how everything comes together. So let's get on this. Ride down the trail, I'll give you a summary of the ride, and then my final thoughts. I'll start out with a tale as old as time, me huffing it trying to pedal uphill. Experience I can share that's important to note for people that might be attracted to this bike. Now, gearing ranges have changed on big box bikes. I used to struggle with 14 to 28 tooth freewheels. This has a 14 to 38 tooth freewheel. And that 38 tooth means I can make climbs up even decently moderate hills. If I can, so can you. And if I do need to shift into a different gear, going uphill, downhill, whatever, I can do it on this bike. Out of the box, this shifted through perfectly. I literally had just unboxed it 20 minutes before the footage you're seeing. What do we expect as far as trail performance? Well, the fork up front isn't made for rough terrain. That means it's going to be noisy, and some of that noise you're hearing is it actually bottoming up. But it is enough for the greenest of green trails and to get a feel for entry-level trail riding. It's really more of a placeholder in lieu of something better, but it will work for quite a few rides. Rides like this. I was trying to be cognizant of how a new rider would be riding this, so I approached this as a new rider would, tentative on any turns and slowly picking up speed here and there. And I can tell you that these tires are good enough on a trail like this when it's dry. And you can't really tell by the footage, but it's been raining. And it was something I had to kind of think my way into because they're a little slippery when it's wet. Overall though, their width compensates for the hybrid style tread. The L2 derailleur a little noisy, but no issues with any shifting on the go and no chain drops. And the geometry, it's good. It feels like a mountain bike. This is the same setup kind of as the Comp X, just minus some high-end components. So the reach, the width, the stack, all that feels like it's there. On this ride, I was also bedding in the brakes as I was going, but I gotta say, as far as generic 160 rotor brakes go, they work. Now, this isn't a high-end performance bike. It's not priced or placed in the Axum lineup as such. It's an entry-level bike in the realm of green entry-level trails. I wouldn't take this in factory form on anything rougher than what you're seeing here and feel good about it, but it's built exactly for stuff like this, and here it works just fine. Smooth-ish enough and fast-ish enough to get a mountain bike experience and find out if you're even going to like the sport, and if you do, you have a bike that's not only set as it is for green trails, and upgradable. I just got my first ride in on this, first observations. You know, for a green trail rider, I mean, this is very much for those people that want to dip their toes in the water, but aren't 100% sure yet. They're not going to spend the money for like a Comp X, an Axum Comp X. This has a lot of the same features with some budget inputs, but some of them are quite good. This is a big deal, a clutched derailleur. The clutching, again, putting tension here, making it where it doesn't flop around so much there. It works. It's stayed in gear. Of course, this is a green trail riding bike out of the box, so a little bit of overkill. Good overkill. And I will say this L2, they're stepping it up. These brakes work great out of the box. They bed right in, and because of this internal / external design on this frame, easy to upgrade. Good stuff coming out now. Like, when did we ever get bars that were a good width for mountain bike trail riding, and these have that slight uniqueness. I like this. Kind of reminds me of more expensive bars. This is a good setup up top, and again, tapered head tube. So when it comes time to upgrade this fork, probably the biggest Achilles heel to the bike, when it comes time to upgrade, the options are practically unlimited. This frame is absolutely gorgeous in the light. These are not stickers, they're clear coated over. Decent welds, again, that design, Cage Bosses. I like this frame, I like that it's sized frame, 16.5 on this medium. Now let's talk about a couple of gripes that I do have. Number one, this fork, we're seeing some forks that are kind of Sun Tour caliber, even though they're generically branded. This is not one of those. This is one step up from the cheapest. It has a thicker supporting arch, that's good, and it has maybe a slightly better seal, but you can see not a lot of travel there. I'm guessing 60 to 80 millimeters tops. No preload adjusters, no anything. A lot of fork flex, and you could hear it bottoming up as I was riding. That's never a good sign. So clearly meant for easy riding, but upgradable. I would mention something about not having lock-ons, but you know, these work. They're actually decently comfortable. The shifter works great. Again, I like all that set up. I like the quick release seat post clamp. I like the 31.6 diameter seat post, but I don't like that they used this type for the saddle mount. Heavy riding, or well, any real trail riding over time, gonna wear that out. Just kind of on the cheap side. And this saddle, now I don't harp much on saddles. I will say this one looks good, but for my bottom, it's a little firm. I'm gonna have to look back at the other of the new Schwinn Axums, the Axum Comp and the Axum Comp X, but I think their knobbies were a little thicker. What I do know is this felt just a little bit squirrely when I tried to dig in to berms and such. Not the best grippers, but we're talking entry-level green trail riding here. Definitely within the realm of what I expect, that a new rider dabbling their toe in the mountain bike market and doing so very budget friendly, you know, a decent setup for that. A beautiful bike. I mean, just look at this frame, glisten. Very nice. This entire setup really, even with the shortcomings like this fork, the way this is priced at the time I'm making this video, $348, and then you bump up to $448, and you get the Axum Comp, and then you bump up to $548, and you get the Comp X with droppers and cassettes and all the good stuff. I like this. I think it's well positioned in their lineup. Comment below with what you think. You can even comment about me leaving reflectors. People ask, why do you leave reflectors on a mountain bike? Well, because I donate these bikes, and sometimes people ride them on the streets. I want them to be safe. Now, I will say, I'll give another critique, and this is just FYI for Schwinn. I heard that maybe there was some rule that they were doing this with these dual reflectors on the back. I don't like this. And there's a reason I don't like this. Just a little bump. And that is in the spokes. Yeah. But I'm gonna leave them on because that's how it comes. And again, I donate these bikes. I won't be upgrading this one, but I will be putting some stuff possibly on that Comp X. So we'll see. Or maybe swapping parts over from the Comp X to the Comp because I like that Comp color. I don't know. We'll see. Comment below with your preference. And what do you think about this bike? Thanks for watching and have a great day.